Hey there, guys, and how's it going? Welcome back to the Impact Zone podcast, and we're back to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans. And here we are to talk more about the main reasons why it's going to be very unlikely. I won't say that it won't happen, but it's very unlikely that a NXT or TNA wrestler will win one of the other's titles in this partnership, at least for now, because I feel like there is a huge difference between what is happening in TNA and what is happening in WWE. I don't think that if somebody from WWE was, or whichever, whatever, or somebody from TNA was to go there, they would have to be there for the long haul. They would have to be there for a good 6 months. This is why it's so infeasible or whatever else, unless you're going to work around somebody being a fluke champion or something like that, that sort of thing. And that's not the sort of way that you should go about somebody like, winning the first title in this sort of crossover or partnership or whatever else it is. It's just so infeasible that somebody will do that because the amount of time that you would need to invest in that person is at least a full year. You need like a few months, about 5 to 6 months or whatever it is, of build up to them like challenging for the title, then 6 months of them holding the title and then losing the title, and then defenses or like trying to get the title back for a little while and whatever else. So it's easily a year-long thing, at least. And that applies to somebody going to WWE or somebody going to TNA. Is anyone from either company going to say, yeah, sure, you can have our guy or our girl, whoever else it is, for just about a full year? Like, TNA cannot afford to do that. Their roster is just way too thin right now. And even if, like, somebody said, like, they've got 3 more hires on the books somewhere that haven't debuted or whatever else it is, and it's like, well, okay, at some point they need to figure that out and do something with that. But it's not the right, like, point yet, I don't think. I think 2 of them are probably at Rebellion. One of them might be at Ultimate X, but or at Under Siege, rather, whatever. Um, no, Unbreakable. I keep getting the 2 confused. But whatever. Anyway, still, like, that is the main reason that it's just not realistically going to happen. You're not going to see somebody realistically do this. Especially TNA, they cannot afford to let somebody out. WWE, they could have let somebody out and say, okay, we can let you go to TNA for 6 months or for a year or whatever else it is, because we're not really using you and we don't really care to use you, or your main role here is going to be that of a jobber, effectively, or a jobber to the stars or something else. And yes, you do need those people too, but again, like, if you're saying, well, we, like, especially some of the younger talent, and they've got a lot of those in NXT, we just don't know what to do with you because you haven't got to the point where we think we can do something, like, too much with you, and we don't see, like, what it is that we can, like, really do with you on this next level. Like, so, like, in that regard, we're just waiting to see that thing that we can do with you. And we've got so many other people that we've got to do things with and whatnot. So it's like, well, what are we meant to do? We cannot push everyone at the same time. That isn't how it works, like. And one of those things, it's just like, that is how it is. So if they're going to say, oh yeah, well, we're not really doing much with you, so you can go to TNA for 6 months or for a year or whatever it is. And if you come back, or when you come back in a year or whatever else it is, and you've like even if they don't win the title, like or whatever else it is, even if they're there for a year and start doing stuff and start being featured and start you know being in a tag team or do this or do that or have a big profile feud or whatever else it is, turn around and WWE goes, wow, you did some great work over there in TNA. So now we've got some stuff that we want to do with you. And, they actually brought something out with you and they got in the creative process with you, which is what they technically should do. But again, maybe again, like that is something that they perhaps can't do just because of timing, and all of this. And they've got 50,000 other people that, they have on their roster, which is why I say to people, reconsider going to a bloated roster, because it's like, well, where am I going to fit in? No matter who you are or what you're doing, it's like, well, how am I going to fit in? Am I going to fit in? So it is a big, big issue. But yeah, guys, I think this is going to be a pretty short sort of descriptor here or a discussion here on this one. That's pretty much it for this one. So yeah, I don't know what else to kind of say here, but yeah, that is where I'm at thinking right now with this sort of partnership and the situations. I know it's a little bit sad to kind of hear in some ways, or I don't know, but it's sort of like some people are so hyped or so like, oh my God, who's going to win a title? When are they going to win a title? When's it going to happen? Who's it going to be? How's it going to happen? Da, 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 and all this. It's probably not going to happen. Like you need to be realistic and think, okay, well, how could somebody like come in, be here for enough time that they could be legitimized enough and like have a proper story, not just saying, oh yeah, they look good and they can wrestle and they fit in with the rest of the gals or the guys or whatever else it is, and they feel like they're starting to get onto this level. Like Ace Austin's been there for a long time, really, like he hasn't really rose up the ranks like we thought he would as much, but that has been due to like a lack of opportunities in some ways and them doing other things with him and whatnot, and trying to position him in the right places to sort of grow and like that sort of thing. Like you could always hard push somebody, but it's like, well, will that actually work? And and the role of being the face of the company is not, being the best wrestler. Being the face of the company is being the most professional and being the best draw. Those are the things that really qualify you for being the face, the wrestling face at least, of the company. If you're going to be a professional and if you're going to be, a big draw. And I mean a big draw, not just you're an alright draw or whatever else it is, but we need to see them, them big numbers, boy. And Joe Hendry, hey, he's that. So, and Ace Austin, he really hasn't got that level of like support behind him. Whereas Joe does, people have rallied behind Joe. Joe is the guy. So that is where he has, gotten to because of that level of support, that level of professionalism, that level of everything that he's brought to the table. But anyway, guys, yeah, that is where I'm at with things like that and this sort of stuff. So yeah, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this one. I hope you join me again in another one.